here we go. We're going to start with an opening prayer. Dear Lord, thank you. Thank you for the many, many wonderful aspects of our lives that we take for granted, that are a process of tremendous amounts of energy transformation that happens without us even thinking about it. And may we use our conscious minds in a way to improve ourselves and those around us through being role models. And thank you for the freedom that we have been granted in order to do this. Alright, tonight we're talking about the nature of personal reality, and we are still in chapter 16, and we are also beginning session 660, which in this edition is near the bottom of page 317, and it goes like this. Good evening. Dictation. There is a definite correlation between what is called conditioning and compulsive action. Here, post-hypnotic suggestion operates as well as constant daily, quote, conditioning, unquote. For example, take a woman who feels compelled to wash her hands 20 or 30 times a day. It's easy to recognize the fact that such repeated behavior is compulsive, but when a man's ulcers bother him every time he eats certain foods, it is more difficult to perceive the fact that this behavior is also compulsive and repetitive. This is an excellent example of the way in which natural hypnotism can act to affect your system adversely. In a manner of speaking, repetitious actions intimately involve beliefs at the, quote, magical, unquote, level. The behavior usually represents efforts to ward off, quote, unquote, evil that the individual feels is imminent. While it is easy then to understand the nature of exterior actions of repetitive quality, it is far more difficult to see many physical symptoms in the same light. But here also, whole groups of recurring reactions to certain stimuli are involved. I'll repeat that last sentence. While it is easy then to understand the nature of exterior actions of repetitive quality, it is far more difficult to see many physical symptoms in the same light. But here also, whole groups of recurring reactions to certain stimuli are involved. Behind them, there is often the same kind of compulsion. In their own way, symptoms frequently operate actually as repetitive neurological ritual, meant to protect the sufferer from something else that he fears even more. That is why belief systems are so important in dealing with health and illness. Each of the systems uses paraphernalia, gestures, medicine, treatment that are exterior manifestations of beliefs shared by healer and patient alike. The same sort of situation operates in hay fever, for example, or for instance, and for that matter in most other diseases. That's with a hyphen. Natural hypnosis and conscious beliefs give their proper instructions to the unconscious which then dutifully affects the body mechanism so that it responds in a manner harmonious with the beliefs. So you condition your body to react in certain fashions. Dealing with this is not a simple problem, of course, for the original suggestion of dis-ease was in itself given because of another belief. Using formal hypnosis, and in the West, you may regress and discover where the suggestion was first given you. If you and your hypnotist believe in reincarnation, the source may be discovered in another life. I am sorry, but I need to go back and start again from dealing. Dealing with this is not a simple problem, of course, for the original suggestion of dis-ease was in itself given because of another belief. Using formal hypnosis, and in the West, you may regress and discover where the suggestion was first given you. If you and your hypnotist believe in reincarnation, the source may be discovered in another life. In either case, if the therapy is effective, you may give up your symptoms if both you and the hypnotist implicitly believe in the situation and framework of those convictions. But behind that, there is far more. For if you do not believe in your own worth as a human being, then you will simply get other symptoms that have to be removed in the same manner using other past quote-unquote events as the excuse for the condition, if you are lucky. If you're not so lucky and your illness happens to involve your inner organs, then you may end up sacrificing one after another. All of this can be avoided through the realization that your point of power is in the present, as stated earlier. Not only do you operate within your own personal beliefs, of course, but within a mass system to which you subscribe to one degree or another. Within that organization, medical insurance becomes a necessity for most of you. So, I'm not suggesting that you drop it. Nevertheless, let us look more closely at the situation. You are paying in advance for illness that you're certain will come your way. You are making all preparations in the present for a future of illness. You are betting upon disease and not health. This is the worst kind of natural hypnosis. And yet within your system, insurance is indeed a necessity, because the belief in illness so pervades your mental atmosphere. Many become ill only after taking out such insurance, quote unquote. And for those, the act itself symbolically represents an acceptance of disease. Even more unfortunate are the special policies for the elderly that detail in advance all of the most stereotyped and distorted concepts about health and age. There is a great correlation between the kind of policies that people take out and the illnesses that they then fall prey to. Even more disadvantageous are the suggestions given, with the best of purposes in mind, concerning specific health areas dealing with prevention. There are two in particular that I would like to mention here. One is the cancer drive literature, and television public service announcements in which the 7 danger signals of cancer are given. Unfortunately, again, within the framework of your beliefs, this is also becomes a necessity for many, especially for those who, because of previous experience of one kind or another with the disease, are almost irrational in their fear of it. The literature and announcements act as strong negative suggestions, following the nature of natural hypnosis as a conditioning process, you see, where you are looking for specific symptoms and examining your body under the impetus of fear. To those already conditioned in such a manner, such procedures can cause cancers that would not otherwise occur. This does not mean that those individuals might not come down with another disease instead, but it does mean that the belief in disease is patterned and focused to particular symptoms by such methods. No wonder you need health insurance. Illness is not a foreign agency thrust upon you, but as long as you believe that it is, then you will accept it as such. You will also feel powerless to combat it. The second health area I want to touch upon concerns the elderly. Ideas of retirement fall generally into the same pattern, for hidden within them is the belief that at one time or another, at a specific age, your powers will begin to fail. These ideas are usually accepted by young and old alike. In believing them, the young automatically begin the gradual conditioning of their own bodies and minds. The results will be reaped. In your society particularly, given over so thoroughly to the pursuit of money, such beliefs bring about the most humiliating situations, especially for the male, who has often been told to equate his virility with his earning power. It is easy then to understand that when his capacity to earn is taken away, he feels castrated. Period and break. Alright, let's stop there. Figure out a sentence that gives us some idea of what he is saying and go from there. I will tell you what he's saying. He's saying that we are hypnotizing ourselves into illness, and we are acting upon these suggestions that we're giving ourselves by buying health insurance in order to defray the costs that are sure to come because we're going to get sick. So therefore, obviously, to move in the other direction, while you might move a step at a time, it takes faith and also the belief that as we change our beliefs, so do the exterior conditions change.
So like if somebody believed or changed their thinking to where they believed that they no longer needed a certain medicine, then they might be able to wean themselves off that medicine because their belief changed and they no longer need it.
As long as that's the deepest belief they need to change. Again, he points out, make sure that you know underneath that what belief is causing you to feel you might need that medicine. He was saying some of the symptoms are conditioned responses that are almost compulsive because of certain fears that we have.
Right.
So if we're constantly reminded that, say, you're going to have high blood pressure, then you might have trouble weaning yourself off the medicine, because even some of those announcements say, and have to take your medicine or you'll get a stroke. So we're dealing with tremendous amount of pressure to be a certain way, when in actuality he's saying that some of this is actually conditioning us to be unhealthy and pre-patterning our future for illness.
Right.
So it takes a very confident person in order to, shall we say, travel upstream against all of these negative suggestions.
Begin limiting their exposure to the negative suggestions.
Right.
For instance, if they watch TV all the time and are bombarded with, or not all the time because that's imperative, if they watch TV often and are bombarded with commercials about illness, then what they could do is choose to leave the room when a commercial comes on, or choose to mute it when a commercial comes on, or choose to reduce how much TV they watch.
Right. I've read some studies where some of the headache commercials are definitely created in order to cause a headache, so that the person watching them will get a headache, and then they, of course, will want to buy what it was that was being sold. And if you listen to them, if you listen to the sounds on those commercials, you'll see what I'm saying. But sometimes, you know, they make these sounds that are not normal, that sort of pre-pattern you to even begin to, shall we say, hypnotically or under the surface begin to feel like you have a headache.
Well, and it's just like songs. That's one of the reasons why I'm careful on the songs, because the lyrics of the song, if the lyrics are negative, but the tempo and the beat is catchy, then that's going to cause that song to get stuck in your head. So you're just basically hypnotizing yourself to the message in that song the more you repeat that song in your head.
As long as you're, shall we say, accepting it without examination, and or, again, generally somebody who has, in my opinion, taken baby steps and made agreements with themselves and figured out how to match what they're desiring and acting and believing. They see how they can change, okay. That tends to reinforce their confidence that they can change by changing their beliefs. And as they learn to do that, then it's easy to, shall we say, block out or filter or even make a blanket statement that those negative suggestions won't be accepted. I choose not to allow those to influence me in a negative manner. And even though it seems so simple to make a statement like that, that's just exactly the same thing. If you believe that belief, that statement of what I said, then that will work, and it'll be a blanket statement that will filter out. Because your body, actually, there is this aspect of us that it wants things to be healthy. Our body wants to be healthy, and it wants to do things more on the, quote, good side or positive side. So it would easily accept that suggestion and act upon it even more so than the negative ones. The negative ones have to be repeated numerous times before they really take hold. So it's interesting. We're actually sort of programmed for health. We've worked really hard to make ourselves unhealthy, actually. So I choose health by believing I am healthy. That sounds silly, but that's sort of what it boils down to.
Or my health is in my present belief.
I mean, that works for me. Anything to remind us this.
Because he says that's where our point of power is.
Correct. This is it. This moment is where you make your decision to change. Anybody listening to this It's easy to hear this, think, oh yeah, that's true, go on to something else and forget either what you're hearing now or not act upon it, okay? So that's why this present moment, right, a moment while you are giving attention to what we're talking about, is your chance either to stop and write down something that'll help you become more healthy by thinking that way, and or not. It's your choice. So, what was the statement?
My health
Yeah.
is in this present moment.
Okay. My health is in this present moment. And I will just make this comment. I think it's within. My health is within. Which actually adds to it, because with is an inclusive type of statement. You see, I'm with you, you know. My health is with me in this present moment. My health is within this present moment. But on the other hand, it can also make people think that it's sort of hidden, because we tend to have this feeling of not trusting what's inside of us in the unconscious as much. So my health is in this present moment. My health is now. My health is within. Well, we can leave it this way. My health is in the present moment. Okay. Today is July 2nd, 2013. This was chapter 16, and we started a new session. Session 660. And I'll say a closing prayer. You ready?
Okay.
Dear Lord, thank you for giving us this information. Again, he went into detail on how basically to cure ourselves from disease, which he hyphenated to make it even more clear that it is dis-ease that's leading us to have negative or fearful reactions, which leads to conditioning, which leads to our illness or illnesses. Thank you that we got exposed to these ideas. May we choose to understand them and use them, and again, as role models, help those as we are helping ourselves. All harm-free in the name of Jesus. Amen. I hope that means we're all going to be very healthy.